People come for a season. Yeah, they're just a little rhythm for a moment or two. But the rare ones come for a reason. And the reason, my friend, is for me and you. We don't need the minutes, no, we don't need the miles to keep the same love in our. It's been a while, smiles. Yeah, the seasons.
You are now listening to A Different Perspective with John and Mark Anthony.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us at A Different Perspective podcast. Our next guest is an American visual artist. His main body of work operates in the gap between abstract expressionism, surrealism, and conceptual art, experimenting with various genres and techniques in his work. His paintings speak for themselves. They invite you into a story that feels personal and familiar at the same time. His work has been shown around the world, but what I admire the most is that he's still the same grounded, humble person. Please help me welcome Jonni Cheatwood. All right, everyone. Jonni Cheatwood is in the building.
Jonni Cheatwood, give it up.
How you doing, sir?
I'm good. How are you?
Glad to have you.
Great.
Glad to have you, man.
Glad to be here.
Yes. Oh, my God. So I was watching the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and I don't know if you saw it when Andre 3000 was up there with Outkast. They were inducted, and Andre got on the mic and he was saying something about this gentleman by the name of Jack, I think it's Jack White of the White Stripes.
Jack White.
I hope I'm saying the right name.
Yep.
Yeah. And he said he has a song called Little Rooms. And Andre said, you know, great things start in small rooms. And looking back, what was your small room where you realized that you didn't just like doing art, but you knew that you were meant to do this? What is your small room starting from the beginning? What was that moment where you were painting and you said, I think I can do this?
Yeah, well, it's kind of interesting. So I ended up dropping out of college when I was maybe like 20, 21, somewhere in there. And I just started working in restaurants full time. And it kind of got to the point where I was like, you know, I'm working full time, these restaurants, working doubles and all that stuff, just like burnt out. And I felt like I kind of needed something to do, you know? So I literally one day I was just like, I'm just going to try and paint, you know? And this is kind of like around the time that like, you know, like Shepherd Fairy, like the Obey Giants, like would pop up everywhere. And I was like really like into like the whole street art thing and like the wheat pasting thing and just trying to figure out like, you know, how these guys were doing it and stuff like that. And then I just kind of slowly got like obsessed with painting, and to the point where I actually came home back to California because I was going to school at ASU, and I went back to California for like a winter break, like Christmas time. And my sister became friends with some guy that like worked at an art supply store, so she had like just taken like a bunch of supplies that like he like had like extra and stuff like that, and would just like have them in a room. And I was like, well, this is a sign. So like I took all of it back with me to Arizona. And I would just like kind of like go in alleyways and find like chairs, like desks and stuff like that, just like paint on anything, just because like I didn't know what I was doing. I just like, you know, wanted to like feel like I was like an artist, that type of thing. And then I kind of just like became obsessed with it over time. And you know, not like that was like 20 something years ago now. So like now it's like still my full-time job and it's like my career. So
that's amazing.
I mean, it definitely started off slow, you know, so it went from like, you know, painting these chairs to like, you know, finding like cardboard panels and then like learning how to like work on canvas. And then that turned into, you know, wanting to paint bigger. So I taught myself how to sew because I couldn't afford art supplies or canvas. So like I went to this place called SAS in Tempe where, you know, it's like a fabric store, and I would just like get scraps of fabric, sew it together, stretch it, paint big, that type of thing. So it's kind of been like this like weird progression of like painting bigger and bigger. And yeah, I mean, the small room literally is just like my bedroom or like my living room. And
I love it.
Now, yeah. So yeah, I've had big studios, I've had small studios, I've had, you know, home studios.
I love that.
So yeah.
So before people knew your work, so you're in the small room, and before people knew your work, what was the hardest maybe time or season that you were going through as you were developing your skills, like in the very beginning? Did you have any doubts? Did you kind of say, what am I doing, before things started
Oh yeah, I
to
mean,
maybe
I mean,
happen?
to be fair, I mean, I've been doing this professionally for 11 years now, and I still have doubts. Like there are times where I'm
Yeah,
like, I still don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I don't think that ever really goes away. But I think the moment that like really jumps out at me was like when I first moved back to Los Angeles after Amy and I got married, and this was like I'm pursuing the arts, like I'm pursuing like a career as like a painter and that type of thing. And this was a time in the art world where if you didn't have like a BFA, like a fine arts degree, or you didn't have like any type of like pedigree, it was really hard for you to find like a gallery to show your work in, or for collectors to like take you seriously. And I didn't have that. Like I was a film school dropout. I mean, I did eventually go back, but my degree is not in art at all. So I didn't have like the pedigree. I didn't have the support system that a lot of artists need to like really survive in the art world, especially like early on.
yeah,
So eventually I got invited to do a group show with a friend who's still a friend of mine. His name is John. And he would like throw these like little exhibitions like in his basement, in his loft, or like his like townhouse or whatever. And a lot of like, underground artists would come and like support like young artists and stuff like that. And there was a install photographer for a bigger gallery there. And we started talking, and he was just like, yeah, like this guy would like really love your work and stuff like that. Like, I want to introduce you. He's looking for a new artist. I was like, yeah, cool. Like, that's what I want. And he's like, oh, like, where'd you go to art school? And I was like, well, I didn't go to art school, but I went to ASU. I got my degree in film and media studies and stuff. And he was like, oh, so like, you don't have a BFA? And I'm like, no, you know? And he was like, oh, that sucks, because like this guy only takes pedigree. And it was like one of those like snobby moments where like literally he
yeah.
like, puts his nose in the air and like walks away. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool.
Oh,
So like at the time I was considering, because like everyone's like, you need an MFA, you need this, you need that. So I was like considering trying to get my MFA. And at that, like after that, I was just like, fuck this. Like I'm not, I'm not doing that. So it was kind of like one of those things where I'm like, I'm going to figure out a way to kind of like get my foot in the door enough to like get in there, and then kind of like, mosey my way through, that type of thing.
yeah,
So yeah, it's definitely like a backdoor or a backwards way of doing it. Now it's not like that anymore. You can
yeah,
literally be self-taught, and it's like, applauded.
So,
But back
yeah,
then being self-taught was kind of like it was weird. So
Johnny, let me ask you this. Like in grade school, when they had like art
Mhm.
class, I mean, I was doing like stick figures. I'm a pretty
Sure.
artistic guy. I can write a song. I can't draw to save my life. But back then,
Yeah.
did you know that you had a talent? Is that something that you kind of were keen to, or did that develop later on
No,
in life? No?
I feel like it developed later on. I mean, I took an art class in high school because I needed like an AP credit to graduate, and I was never like a great student at all. So I was just like, I can be in an art class, that's fine. And so I like begged the teacher like let me in, and she lets me in. It was terrible. I think I got like a C-. But that was like the only art class I took. And then in college, I took one, like a drawing course as like an elective, that type of thing. But literally, that was like my whole art school
Wow.
experience, I guess.
Wow.
And I can't draw well still. It's just kind of like scribbling and, it's like sketching, that type of thing. But like, yeah, I think I just like taught myself over time, because like,
yeah,
I knew that I was passionate enough to like get into art and like kind of teach myself like art history, and try to figure out like I was like trying to like deconstruct like how people were painting certain things, and I just like went all in, and now I'm
You have a
painting
style
stuff.
that's so unique and it's so cool, man. It's like, how would you describe it? Modern, or how would you describe your art?
I I don't know. I mean, it's kind of this like well, it's like this abstract figuration that goes, more into like abstract expressionism meets like
Mm,
fiber art or textile art meets, figurative, it's kind of all over the place. And I have a hard time kind of putting a name to it, just because I kind of let the experts, or, people
yeah,
that are like,
nothing wrong
critics
with
or
that.
whatever, kind of like, yeah. And I'm just like, I'm just painting, like, like I have like the style, like I've kind of honed in like over the years and stuff like that, that like I don't have a name for it, you know. It's just kind of
That's the
Johnny
beauty of
Cheatwood,
it.
I guess. You know, I don't, yeah. I mean, and like I should, like I can talk about my work easily, you know, but like when
Yeah.
it's like putting a name to it, you know, for people that like aren't necessarily like in the art world, is kind of like, well, it's abstract, it's expressionism, it's figurative, it's this, it's that, you know. So it's
It's
just paint.
Well,
it's
you know?
divine.
if you ask Michael
Yeah, there
Jackson
you go.
what kind of music he sings, he's not
Mhm.
going to really say pop music. He's just going to say, I do what I do. My music speaks for
Mhm.
itself. And I think that's what happens. Your
Yeah.
art speaks for itself. And if I
Yeah.
had like a loft in New York City, your art would line my walls of my apartment. I mean, that's what it
appreciate that.
reminds me of. It's very cool. For
you
anybody
go.
who hasn't
Yeah, yeah.
seen it, we're going to link the website here. You have to check it out. It is so
Yes.
unique.
You have to.
It's so cool.
Thank
Yes.
you.
I can
Thanks.
tell you what.
Good
You,
words.
you know what I have to say this. So being a fan of your work,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I just was pointing at one of your first prints. You know, the
Mhm.
story about that was I went on your website, you know, because you post things all the time on Instagram, and
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I saw the ad for sign up here for the first print for Johnny Cheatwood.
Yeah.
And I just
Mhm.
randomly did it myself. I've never won anything in my life,
Yeah.
ever,
Yeah.
or nothing in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And when that happened,
Mm-hmm.
I think you even like sent a text to me or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or
yeah.
something. You said you won. You actually won. And I said, won what? I was thinking like, won what?
Yeah.
I totally
yeah.
kind of forgot about it. And then you
Mhm.
said the first print. And I was like, are you kidding me right now?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? And then you're like, I'm going to send it to you or whatever. And I was so excited that I even put a video up on just receiving it
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
going to Michael's and buying a nice frame and putting it up.
Mhm.
And there's a picture right there. First
Yeah.
print, baby. Yes.
How much did you spend
And
on the frame?
I think about $70,
Man,
60, 70
cheap.
bucks.
Johnny,
There you
if you would send me something, 3 digits right here, baby. 3 digits for a frame. I promise
Yeah.
you.
Printing's
3
a
digits.
printing's a tricky thing. So no, I mean,
John-
I mean,
It's
I mean, the frames I have on these are probably like maybe $100, you know, that type of thing.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
that type of thing. But
Expensive it
it's
is.
like first preference, and it's fine, you know. Like, it's
No,
like,
it was
I-
it was exciting. It was
yeah,
exciting,
that's
dude.
what I'm saying.
Just
Like,
to,
yeah, to like, you know, get something you're really excited about, like put it in a frame, like you cherish it, that type of thing. And
Yeah.
yeah.
I just love that. I love that a lot.
You know what? And I put gloves on, and you know, I just didn't
There you
want to put any fingerprints, and you know, I really was so excited because you know, we know each other, but I've been a fan of your work from day one, and it's
Yeah,
just
thank
it's
you.
really amazing, dude. Your art is so great. It's like if it was wearable, I would wear it. You know what I mean?
He told me the story about winning that print before we were even going to have you on the podcast. So he's not
yeah,
lying when he
before I
says
even
he's
thought of it.
excited about it.
Yeah, I told him, I was like, dude, I got this, you know, and you know, that says a lot, man, because you know, your work speaks for itself. It really does speak for itself. You don't really have to say anything. You just show up to the exhibition and see my installations, and there you go. That's how it is. So, you know, I was thinking to myself, you know, we're talking about all of this, and you're so talented at this, but you know, there's always doubt that enters your mind, and we talked about that a little bit, but was there a point where you're like, I don't know if this is for me?
Yeah, I mean, I think that just in the artistic process, you know, whether it's like, you know, writing a song or, you know, painting in my case or whatever it is, like there's a point where you kind of like, you have this idea and then you're working at it and you kind of get to that middle phase where you're kind of like, this is awful, you know, like that type of thing. You like, you have to scrap it and kind of like, you know, sit with it. And then like, you know, I think it's really easy for me, just like my personality type, like it's really easy for me to just like throw something away like immediately and then like come back to it like 3 years later and that type of thing.
Yeah.
But I think that if you're like willing to like kind of sit with it, then you can kind of like toughen it out. And then like for me, you kind of like, you know, make a mark on the canvas and then that kind of opens up something and then you're like, oh, okay. Like, you know, so you kind of like learn how to like make the right move or, you know, that type of thing. So like, for, like I basically what I'm trying to get at is like, I have like a blueprint of like, okay, if I'm stuck, take a break, that type of thing, get some air, come back in, make a move. If it's good, make the next move. If that's good, make the next move. If it's bad, okay, it's fine. Like we'll just, deal with it later. But anyways, like in that whole like life cycle of like, the artistic practice, whatever, like you're gonna have that like, oh, this like I'm terrible at this, like,
Mm-hmm.
like I've like punched a wall in my studio because like I messed something up or like I've thrown the brushes up the, like
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
just kind of like a
Amen.
normal, like frustrating. Yeah, like, but yeah, but at the end of the day, it's just like, it's part of the process. And like I have to remind myself that like this whole thing is a process.
Let me ask you this.
No, you're
When I
good.
sit
You're good.
down to write a song, I have a
Mm-hmm.
concept in mind
Mm-hmm.
and I have no idea how it's going to turn out in the end. When I'm writing it,
Sure. Yeah.
I'm like a listener. I'm like, man, I can't wait to see how this turns out. I
Yeah.
like to tell stories in my songwriting. When you sit down at a canvas, do you have
Mm-hmm.
a vision in mind of what you want it to be, or you just kind of go with the flow and are you as surprised as the next person at the outcome?
I think now, because like my work has changed a lot over the years. So it used to be like purely abstract, where it was just like very like intuitive, and it was easier to kind of like make mistakes and kind of like, because like I can just like cover it up and that type of thing, and like no one's gonna know. And
Sure.
whereas like now the work is like a little bit more like methodical, planned out because it's like more figurative. There's a lot more empty space. There's a lot of like, certain textiles that are involved that like, if I mess this up once, then like the painting is kind of, like then I have to like figure something else out.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I have an idea now of like what I'm doing just because like I've been doing it for so long. But there are times in paintings, like in the show that I have up in Finland, there's like one painting in particular that like I had everything planned out, like I'd sketched everything out. I had like all my reference material, like, locked in. And I was like making the work and I took a step back and I was like, this doesn't work. So then I kind of had to like, it's gonna sound weird, like almost like little woo woo, but like the painting kind of like took its own like a life of its own. And then
Yeah.
I was just kind of like, it's definitely gonna sound woo woo, but like I like kind of like surrendered to it, and I'm just like I don't know what's happening, but like I'm just kind of like I'm doing this. If it sucks, it sucks. I'll figure it out eventually. But like eventually I got to a point where I'm like, oh, like this is cool. So
Oh, it's fascinating.
yeah, it's a weird process for me anyways, like I think that every artist has their own way of doing things. I know some artists that are like very methodical, very like structured to the T, like,
Yeah.
and I know other artists that are absolutely not. So we all have our different processes, and
That's what makes it art.
mine, yeah,
I
yeah,
think
yeah.
that's the sign of a true artist. When like I edit a lot of videos sometimes, and
Hmm.
because videos, like, they tell the story. You can have no
Yeah,
words and just have
yeah,
video because you've majored in that, right? Like film and
yeah.
all of that. So you have like some understanding of that too. And
Hmm.
videos tell stories. Have like, and with your stories of how your artwork kind of lays out, have you ever had anyone like misunderstand or misinterpret or ask you like, what is this?
Yeah, I think that's like that's a normal thing. And for me, I make the point not to tell people what they're looking at. So like
Right.
because like my
Yeah.
work is like very like abstract, and
Yeah.
there's a lot of room for interpretation. So like, for example, like in the last show, there's like this boy on a bike and there's like a figure outside of the painting that's like guiding the kid. I meant that painting to be like, like a father figure, like guiding the kid through like,
Yeah.
whatever. But when I was in Finland, I had people I had multiple people say that they reminded them that painting reminded them of like a negative moment where like they were in trouble and like the parent was like,
Oh,
escorting them
wow.
home. And everything. So like there
Wow.
are some things that, like I basically like
Interpretation.
I just want, yeah, like I just want people to be able to like kind of put themselves into the work and, that type of thing. And uh, if they have a different feeling or, interpretation of like what I thought I was doing, that's great because like I didn't think about that and I want to hear, how my work is
Yeah.
being applied to other people.
Right.
Yeah.
What with like the purely abstract stuff, that gets a little interesting because it like there's really no story behind it. Like this just kind of just like a bunch of shapes and colors and lines and stuff like that. And like I've had people being like this looks like a fire truck and my grandfather was a firefighter and that reminds me of him. Or, like stuff like that. So I'm like, okay, cool. Like
Wow.
I'm really curious to see like what people see that I don't see, you know?
Yeah,
So,
the beauty of that is I've edited a video and I made a
mhm.
mistake, and that
Yeah.
mistake has become the perfect thing that happened in the video. It happens all the
Yeah.
time. And it's that
Yeah.
thing that happens that you don't expect, and then you're like, "Wow, I made a mistake." It was like a perfect mistake, you know?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it
And those are the best things, you know,
See,
because like
yeah.
I
also
hear
too,
that.
like,
I don't make mistakes personally, so I can't really relate to what you guys are saying, but
Did you know about John? He is the
bel
absolute of
I make
perfection.
mistakes every 30 seconds of my life,
Uh-huh.
believe me.
uh, yeah.
So Johnny, who's some of like your I don't mean as artist inspirations, but I mean who inspires you to create and get in that creative element?
I mean, it's a sea of people and, you know, musicians and movies and stuff like that. So I think like my ultimate, as of late, like the biggest like influence in my creative practice is it's kind of been David Lynch somehow.
Mhm.
And you know, Mulholland Drive, Twin Peaks, like stuff like that. Just an incredible like filmmaker. But like his approach to making art is, I just love it. You know, it's kind of like the vibe that he sets is like a story in itself. You know, and I just like really appreciate that, and I try to take that into my work.
Yeah. Do you listen to music
I
when
mean,
you're painting?
yeah, yeah. I listen to a bunch of stuff. Yeah, it's I kind of have like a podcast in the morning type of thing, and like, you know, later on in the day while I'm like really like locked in, then it's like a bunch of like music. And it kind
Yeah.
of varies, you know. It's like a bunch of like indie bands used to listen to in like, you know, 2006. Like I'm still listening to in the studio just because like it kind of like takes me back to like when I first started painting and like, you know, that type of thing. So it's just like music that like I still just like really love and like I get a kick out of.
Right.
Yeah, I listen to a bunch of stuff, you know.
What
Do
is
do
So
what is your like song right now? What is like your song like that? Your favorite song right now? Let's just say that.
my favorite song right now, it's probably a song by Spelling, Something of the Heart. It's called. I'll tell you right now.
Oh yeah, I love this though. I have songs right now that are on my play deck, and I just I vibe out to them. Actually, a couple songs are by John, but there's also artists that I love, and it
Yeah,
really helps you on your creative part, right?
yeah, totally. It's called Portrait of the Heart. That's like kind of
Portrait
been
of
a
the
song
Heart.
like it's been like
I'll have to check it
playing a
out.
lot in the studio. Yeah, stuff like that. Like last year, like the Rosalie album that came out, like I was playing that a lot.
Yep.
And then you have like moments where it's just like Turnstile and like Rage Against the Machine, and like that's kind of
Oh, old school,
like I'm
yeah.
really in it, you know, that type of thing. So it's
Bulls on Parade,
yeah, it just yeah, it's
yeah,
like sometimes you
Yeah.
just like really need that like angsty, you know, that type of thing, like kind of like get through.
yeah. I,
But yeah, so it's a lot of music, some movies. I have other artists that I talk to that don't make the same work that I do, but know me and I know them very well. So like I can kind of be like, hey, like, what do you think about this? And kind of getting like a live critique, that type of thing.
yeah.
That's really really helpful to me too. So
What do you do? Do you
yeah.
FaceTime them?
Uh, no, I mean I'll call them and then or actually they call me because yeah. But I mean either way, that sounds so weird. But we're on the phone, one of us
Right.
calls each other. And
Gotcha.
then you'll be like, oh, like, what are you working on? And then I'll be like, oh, I'm working on this, like, but I'm having a hard time with this section. What do you think? And then, like, I have one friend named Larry who lives in Phoenix, incredible painter, but he's kind of like, oh, like, this kind of reminds me of this. And did you think about trying this with that? Or, like, have you thought about, like, glazing this down and that type of thing and, like, make this section
Wow.
pop? And I'm like, no, that's genius. So, like, I have like painter friends that like I can like genuinely just like bounce ideas off of and
Yeah.
they kind of like help me along the way,
The
which is
way
really cool because like, sorry, go ahead.
the way artists think is just so mesmerizing to me. It's unbelievable. It's something that I
Yeah.
can't relate to. Even as a songwriter, I can't understand how somebody can bring something to life like that. It's amazing to me. I have so much respect for artists. I really do.
Well, I mean,
I
I
feel the
feel the
same.
same about musicians, like I'm not musically talented at all. Like I've tried to learn how to play guitar and like it just doesn't like so much about it, like just does not make sense to me and like my brain. So like I'm friends with a few musicians too. Like I'm genuinely like in all people who make music and sing well and like all that stuff too. So I mean, it goes like by
It's
it
funny,
goes both
isn't it?
ways.
Yeah.
hmm
Now,
Yeah, I mean, I
did you do those paintings behind you?
no, this is a buddy of mine. His name's Cleon, and they're just a couple of his prints that we bought.
Oh, very cool. Very cool way to represent
Mhm.
him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, he's a good dude, really good artist. His name's Cleon Peterson. So
So
yeah,
I
he's
love
awesome.
it.
you have something coming up in, did you say Finland?
I have an exhibition going on currently in Helsinki, and it's
Wow.
up until August 9th at a gallery I've been working with since like 2018 called
Wow.
Makasini Contemporary. So yeah, so like I'll have one or two exhibitions a year. And yeah, so I mean, I spend
Amazing.
6 months out of the year making a body of work that's on display for like a month and a half. And then it's kind of
Wait a
like, all right,
second.
just
Wait
kind
a
of
second.
next thing.
It takes you
Yeah.
6 months?
Yeah.
Wow.
To do
That-
like a whole show, like start to finish. I mean, sometimes it takes a little bit longer, but start to finish, like,
Wow.
like conceptual or like kind of like conceptualizing a whole exhibition, planning out like paintings that go together to make like a cohesive body of work. And then
Yeah.
like the sewing, because like I still sew all my canvases together, and then like the priming, and then like the sketching everything out, and then yeah, like the fine detail. Like I painted a hand that took me like 5 hours to paint, that type of thing. So like there's like it takes time,
Wow.
but yeah, it takes time.
Well,
It's
well, you know
tedious,
what?
but
There's one thing I think about in your installations, all the places your art has taken you.
mhm.
Has it changed the way you see the world? Because,
Oh yeah,
I've
yeah,
traveled myself, and when I
hmm
was younger, worked for a fashion company, and
hmm
it changed me for life, like on
yeah.
everything. So what has it done for you in a way of
Well, I
inspiring
mean,
you and the travel?
I think there's so much to it. I think like first of all, it's like getting to travel the world doing what you love to do is something that like I can't take that for granted at all,
Yeah.
And I've gotten to experience so many cool things and like meet so many great people, experience so many great cultures because of painting, and like that's not something that when I first started, I couldn't have dreamt that, like I
Hmm.
my only goal was to like get in like one exhibition, and I did that like within the first year starting. So like everything, like at this point, like everything's just like a bonus for me,
Yes.
which has been cool. But traveling, my first exhibition was in Australia, so I went down to Australia for a week, and that was cool. And then I went to New York right after that, and then the next year I went to Berlin, Finland, Beirut twice. I've been to Finland like 5 times now. London,
Wow.
Paris. It's like a few other places too, and it's really cool.
Yeah.
Because like it's fun experiencing other cultures, one, but also two, just like getting out of like I like, for example, like first time I went to Finland, that was like the first time I kind of realized like, oh, I'm an American, like it like you
You're a
kind of are just
foreigner.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm a foreigner, and I'm kind of
Yeah.
like, the way we do breakfast is so different, but like then you kind of like
Yeah.
take yourself out of it. I'm like, okay, like let me do as the Finns do, or the Finns
Yeah.
do and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
like I remember staying on this like buffet, or like this hotel that had like a buffet. And like you're kind of, like you're hungry and stuff like that. You like kind of like pack your plate. And then there's like a couple that like sat next to us, and like they had like a piece of cheese, like a piece of meat, like a piece of like watermelon, stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, like we're excessive, that
We
type
do
of thing.
everything in
But
excess
like,
in
Yes.
America.
You know
yeah,
what?
yeah, yeah.
I was in Germany, and I walked into a restaurant, and I saw this guy. He had an egg, and it was sitting on top of this little
Oh,
holder.
like the little cup thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and he
The
cracked
soft
the
egg.
top
Yeah.
of the egg,
Mhm.
and he was
Yeah.
eating. I was like, I need to video this. I've never seen this in my life.
Well,
Like
that same
it was.
hotel, I saw someone doing that. So the next day I came down and I tried it, and it was pretty good.
Yeah, it's
Just like taking a spoon to like a little egg, like,
yeah, but that also has an influence on your art. Little things like that. I think with does it really influence you? I'm saying this to you, but
I
does
I think so. I feel like in some odd way, traveling has influenced the way that like I at least approach painting. You know, it might not
Yeah.
show in the way like, you know, it turns out on the canvas, but like in at least the way like I approach a canvas, it's definitely changed. It's definitely like made me more patient, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And I think also too, like, you know, there are different cultures that, you know, respect different things. So like, for example, I did an exhibition in Shanghai in, I think like 2023. And I didn't realize this going into the show, but I was making a lot of like, you know, smaller portraits of like, just like, you know, neck up, that type of thing. And kind of like after the show, the gallery director was just like, I mean, these are kind of like a harder sell because in our culture in China, you know, portraits like that are for the dead, you know, and I'm kind of like, oh, okay, like noted for next time. But it's like one of those things where like you make something and you don't really think about the cultural aspect of it right away. And then you're kind of like, oh, okay, like I didn't realize that, but you know, that makes
Well,
sense, you know? So
you learn something new every day, you know?
yeah, you're always learning something, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like certain colors mean certain things in different countries and stuff like that. So like
Yeah.
you're like, no one tells me like what to make necessarily, but like I just try to be like mindful of,
Yeah.
you know, where I'm
That's
showing my work to, you know?
Traditions
that totally
and
makes
yeah,
sense.
yeah.
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 Johnny, what's
You
the
know-
ultimate goal?
Ultimate goal. I don't know. I mean, I feel like the mountaintop's kind of like, you know, getting higher and higher. Like it's always like kind of like moving a little bit.
Yeah,
I think
that's a good
really
thing.
the ultimate goal is my work hasn't been collected by a museum yet. So I think that's kind of like the next thing on the list. And then, I, I mean, realistically, the way like I've kind of set my career up is like I'm kind of slow cooking the whole thing, you know? So like I'm not always chasing like quick wins. So like I'm just like
Yeah.
really trying to have like a longevity to like my career. So like I want to be able to do this when I'm 70, you know, that type of thing. And, you know,
The
pretty much
consistent
still
man
breaks
wins the
all.
day.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think also too, like I don't know what else I would be doing at this point if I wasn't painting. So
Yeah.
yeah, I want to do that. I want to be able to kind of you know, keep showing my work, have people be inspired by my work in a way, but like, you know, kind of like step into the work and kind of have like an appreciation for like, you know, what I'm doing still.
Yeah.
And then eventually like when I leave this place, you know, like my daughter can kind of control the
Yeah.
estate and, you know, that type of thing. So
Beautiful.
yeah, like that's kind of, I try not to
What
think too far, but
Yeah.
like that's kind of what I got so far.
It's beautiful.
What keeps you grounded? What keeps your feet on the ground? You know, in 2015, I don't know if you remember this, but I was on my way to LA. You were doing a project and I just so happened to come in town a couple days extra early for work. And you said, "Hey, I'm doing a thing and you know, stop by if you can." And I didn't realize that Usher was a part of this. I think it was the Project UB, right?
Yeah.
UB. And
So I need to hear this Usher story.
I mean, it's one. Okay, basically, it's okay. I'll just tell the story.
Tell the whole story.
Back in 2011, 2012, I was living in Flagstaff, and I was just painting in one of my small rooms. Literally, it was like I was like living in this apartment with two other guys, I think, like two other guys. And it was a 2-bedroom, and I was just like, you know what, like I'm just gonna take the living room, turn that into a bedroom, and I did. So like I had like a curtain, and that was like my bedroom / studio, and I was like literally just like taking like selfies, that type of things, like when you know camera phones like first kind of came out, and I printed it out, and I was like pouring paint on one, and kind of like covering up the face, and then I posted it on Tumblr, and it kind of like went not viral, but like, you know, it got like reblogged a bunch and like other art blogs like pick it up. So I never like think too much of it, you know, like it's just kind of like something I'm just put on the internet and, you know, it's out there. And, I was working at a restaurant called Little Cleo's in Phoenix, and I was setting up the bar one day, and I get a phone call from a Los Angeles number, and I was like, oh, that's weird. So I never answer my phone. I still don't. So it was like one of those things where I'm like, if it's important, they'll like leave a voicemail, that type of thing. So they called twice, and I was like, okay, this is interesting. So the second time, left a voicemail. I finished doing what I was doing. I go to the dish pit, and like Little Cleo's is like a really small restaurant. So like you see everything in there, like, you know, like I can't hide. Like I can't just like pull out my phone. Like, so like they have like a really small like dish pit. I go in the dish pit, like sneak in. I listen to this voicemail, and it was like, "Hi, Johnny Cheatwood. My name is Sierra Pargo. I'm calling on behalf of Mr. Usher Raymond. He saw
Wow.
your work on Found, and he wants to do a collaborative project with you. Give me a call back. I want to discuss," that type of thing. So I was like, "What? Like, no way." And it's like, I listened to it again. And then I go to the chef, Eric, you know, and
Yeah.
I was like, "Hey, can you listen to this really quick?" And he's like, he's listening to it. His eyes get like wide. And then he's like, "You need to go call her back like now." So I was like, "But I got to finish this." He's like, "I'll take care of the bar. Go." You know, that type of thing.
Yeah.
So I'm like, "Okay, like I will, I'll go." So like I go to the parking lot, I call her, and she answers right away. And she's like telling me all the stuff that she wants to do with Usher and stuff like that. And then she was like, he wants to do like this 20-year thank you, or like a 20-year, like a commemorative, like performance, like a very intimate space. And he wants me to paint on top of like all, I think at the time it was like 6 album covers, you know? And then she was like, but he wants to do it this weekend in Los Angeles. And this was like a Tuesday. And I'm like, I mean, I don't think I can get off work, to be honest with you, but you know, and she's like, "It's okay. Like we still want to, you know, like do other projects. Like we have like all these other things lined up." And so that first thing didn't work out, but then UB came along. And so basically they took some of my artwork. Usher was like the brand ambassador of UB. So it's like school supplies for kids. So like my work was like on, you know, binders and backpacks and, you know,
Oh, very
all that
cool.
stuff. And then that turned into like this other project that was supposed to happen with Pepsi. But the contract for that project essentially paid me enough money to where like I can move back to Los Angeles. And that's where like I was able to kind of like pursue art. So like if Usher didn't happen, then I probably wouldn't have been able to move back to LA when I did. And then I got into like artist residency and, you know, met certain collectors, certain gallerists, and stuff like that. So Usher was kind of like the jump off to everything that's
Shout out
happened
to
me. So, yeah,
USHERRAYYMOND.
yeah. And like it's like a big, like obviously it's like a big part of it, you know, but in like the hindsight of like my entire career, like it's actually like such like a small thing. And
Yeah.
like if it's like a chain reaction, you know. So it's like if this didn't happen, then I wouldn't have been here. If I wasn't here, then I wouldn't have met this person. If I didn't meet this
Exactly.
person, then you know, that type of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's kind of been like all these like small events that's kind of essentially just like a, you know,
Chance
crafted
encounters.
my career. Well,
Well,
yeah,
you
chance
talk
encounters
about
stuff.
you talk about moments, and I love
Mhm,
what you said in your bio. I read something and it said you just like water, and I kind of live that way too. You got to go with the flow,
mhm.
and
Yeah,
you said one moment turns into another moment, and then another moment turns into another, and that's how life
yeah,
really should be lived. But you have
yeah,
to put yourself out there, you know,
yeah.
and see what sticks, you know, and that's the
Mhm,
beauty of you having the courage. And for people listening, you know, what would you say to someone that is an artist and wants to try something, and not saying that you have the antidote, but just the courage
mhm.
to try something different, you know, be weird, just do something
Be weird.
courageous.
I think realistically, it's just like, I mean, there's so many things, but like the biggest things for me is like show up and be
Yeah.
consistent. And I think that being an artist, well, no matter like what you're doing, no matter what you're making, no matter like, even if you're like a content creator, I think that you're putting yourself out there for a bunch of strangers and you're insecure and you're doing all these things. And like, that's kind of like nerve wracking a lot of times, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
But I think realistically is like, you know, as an artist, like you have to show up, you have to make the work, you have to do that because like if you don't have a body of work that you believe in or you trust, you know that you trust yourself making, then like you don't really have much. So like for me, it's always about the work, you know. So being willing to dig deep and you know pull something out that like you didn't think that you can do. Be willing to be vulnerable with some people first, you know, and kind of be like, hey, like, I want to be an artist or I want to make this film or I want to, you know, that type of thing. I want to write the song, you know. I think that being willing to do that is one of the most important things, you know. And then like trust
Absolutely.
your taste, you know. I think that all of us have like a specific taste that works for us. And,
That's great
like
advice.
you're making work for you and, not necessarily for like an algorithm or, um, even though like that does play into things, unfortunately, but like, you're making work that like you feel great making, it's true to yourself. So,
Be authentic.
and just, yeah,
Yes.
keep your integrity, so
That's great
Yes.
advice.
Absolutely.
that's kind of, yeah, that's my advice. So,
Yeah,
I love that. This is so good, man. I mean, everything that you said, I mean, is very inspirational. And to see how your journey started from where you started to where it is now, I mean, you've traveled and to some great places and met some people. And I read in your bio, you said that they're one of the coolest things. And there were people that would be speaking about you and you were not even around. And that is such a great feeling to know that you've probably brought people together in a room talking about your art, or also and paved another way for yourself by people in
yeah,
rooms that you were not even in. So
yeah, really. And I'm just grateful for those people that do, because like, you can kind of force yourself into situations, but like at the end of the day, like it I'm the one painting stuff, but it's a whole team of people around me that
yeah,
enable me to kind of have the career that I do, So, and it's the people that are speaking about you in rooms that you've never even stepped foot in, So,
yeah.
it's yeah,
There
Oh,
must
man.
be things that people don't even think of in your field. Like I'm just kind of thinking right now, and I'm going off the rails a little bit, but just
Mhm.
shipping alone, shipping
Yeah,
your art must be, I mean, just a project in itself.
yeah. It's that's like an art form in itself. Realistically, I mean, yeah, it's not fun sometimes,
I mean, I see the way Amazon
and
treats my packages. I wouldn't want them to treat my art like that. I mean, they can treat my art like
Mm.
anything because it sucks, but your art,
I've
not so
I've
much.
experienced all of it.
Yeah.
I've dealt with all of it,
Oh,
great
man.
and very bad. So
Yes. Yeah.
shipping, yeah, shipping. I mean, there's like so many like logistical things that have to go into,
Yeah.
putting on an exhibition or sending a work to a gallery or a collector or, stuff like that. And it's gotten really hard. Like, unfortunately, it's gotten really hard over the past 2 years just because of like shipping costs have like just gone crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So a lot of people are not wanting to pay those costs,
Right.
Yeah.
So that's where, yeah, it gets not fun. I'll just say it's not fun all the
Yeah.
time. So
Now, have you been in
Man.
magazines?
I've been in the Fashion for Men magazine.
Oh, very cool.
Like this was like 10 years ago, I think. I mean, I've been mentioned in like New York Times articles, like Interview magazine articles.
Very cool.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of like any like other print things. Off the top of my head, I don't think so. But
When we have
I
guests on,
might
we
have.
always say, "Oh, you got to check them out. You got to check them out." And we've only had a couple guests, and they've been
Yeah.
excellent, wonderful, you included. But I'm telling you, if you are not familiar with Johnny's work, please, there'll be a link that'll come up on the screen right here. Check out his work because
Thanks.
it's mesmerizing. I don't know how else to say it.
Yeah.
It's I don't know the right word. It's amazing.
Thank you.
His work is gonna outlive all of us and be around for a long time.
Oh, absolutely.
And
That's the hope.
and
That's the hope.
yeah. Well, no, man, it's fantastic, man, and that's a God-given talent that you have, and
Thank you.
it's a gift, and you're
Yeah.
using it, and a lot of people don't even get to know what their gift is, and I
That's
just think
true.
with our listeners, always search for your gift, always look and search, do whatever it takes to find that special thing inside yourself, And Johnny, I mean, it happened for you. And even if you were not at the time looking for it, but it just seems like you honed in and you just kind of went with the flow. You were like water. In the beginning, how you started, you was like, I just wanted to do this. And I started doing this. And then it started to snowball into this. And you just kept at it. And man, kudos to you for sticking to it, because you could have took a left turn and had a totally
Yeah.
different perspective on what you were going to do and look at
Mhm.
what happened for you. And it's a blessing, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really is. So,
Here's
thank you.
a
I
quiz.
appreciate it.
Whose famous quote is "Be like water"?
Bruce Lee.
That's it, Bruce Lee. 10 points
Bruce
for Johnny
Lee.
Cheatwood.
Got it.
All
10
right.
points.
Got it.
Yeah, he's winning.
Bruce Lee is Bruce Leroy.
Bruce Lee, right there you go.
Yeah.
Brilliant, sir.
Excellent.
But man, what a great thing, man, that we have you on this show, and
Absolutely.
we're fans of you anyway. I've always been a fan, but I'm happy to call
Thank
you
you.
friend, man, and I'm glad
I'm a
that
new fan for sure.
listeners get to meet you and meet the man behind the art. And I know that 20 years from now, you're going to be on the level. I'm going to put you on the level of you're going to be able to sign your name on a napkin like Picasso, and they're going to just bring you a plate of food. You know what I mean?
Now,
Yep.
can you order prints on the website?
No, I rarely do print releases.
Okay.
I may be doing another one in the next month or so.
Okay.
I
So
So
will-
they
keep
just
an eye
have
out
to
for
check
that.
out the website.
Yep.
Yeah, I will let somebody know. But if you follow me
Yeah.
on Instagram, I will always post, that type of thing.
What an honor. Johnny
I
Cheatwood.
appreciate it.
Well, guys, thank you for
Thanks.
watching. It's been a great perspective of Johnny's life and his career and his accomplishments. And if you're inspired by what Johnny said, definitely reach out and look up his work and reach out to us.
This is a name you will hear.
Yes, you will hear for sure. If we
Thanks,
already
guys.
haven't, So we're going to sign off. And thanks, everyone, for watching.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Johnny, thank you very much.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, I've been a pro of hellos, a collector of how you doing, building bridges out of friendships, watching some fall into ruins. And I've learned that life's a lobby, a revolving door of faces, people checking in and out of all my mental spaces. Some were just a souvenir, a postcard from a place that I had to visit once just to find some kind of grace. So I'm sending out my namaste to every ghost and guest for the wisdom they invested while they lived inside my chest. But it's a mathematical